In this video, we explore the question, what is fragile existence? Und eine deutsche Version des Videos findet ihr in der Videobeschreibung.
We used to dream what was out there, yearning to know that we weren't alone in the universe. We thought we were so smart, blundering from one calamity to another. Somehow we actually got out there.
Fragile Existence is a sci-fi strategy game by Fragile Continuum and publisher Hooded Horse, still planned for 2022. Currently, you can already put it on your wishlist on Steam, which directly helps the developers. In a co-op or PvP, we can go on our own journey in procedurally generated galaxies, alongside a campaign and of course a solo mode. In addition, we find various elements from games like Stellaris, Homeworld, Planetary Annihilation or Supreme Commander in some areas. However, mixed with many new ideas and possibilities that should make Fragile Existence a very exciting game. However, first an important note, we are in no way connected with the developer Fragile Continuum or Hooded Horse, nor are we being remunerated in any way or receiving any other benefit for this video. So this is our absolutely private, free and unbased opinion. The material shown is gameplay footage directly from the developers, which was made available to us in advance. And since the material was very extensive, we have summarized the most interesting areas for you until we can get into Fragile Existence ourselves at a later date. The story of Fragile Existence already sounds very exciting, whereby we are about 7 centuries in the future. Here, mankind has already ventured deep into space and begun to colonize it. Earth, the Moon and Mars have already been colonized, and large private companies are also present with stellar mining ventures and interplanetary shipping. The first explorations of deep space have been launched, ushering in a new colonial age over time. The United World Organization, as well as nation-states, became increasingly reliant on large corporations and their resources to enable their interplanetary operations, further strengthening corporate power and significantly eclipsing traditional nations. Then, as faster-than-light travel in the form of cascade breaches became possible, humanity's expansion in space stretched faster and further. As a result, the Earth became increasingly irrelevant. After the remains of extraterrestrial life were found in a distant system, the first galactic war broke out between two large corporations. In the turmoil of the war, the arrival of an unknown fleet led to the near destruction of the near-Earth regions and initiated the so-called collapse. We now lead what is left of humanity in Fragile Existence, a fragile existence then. We are thus fleeing not only to escape death, but to prevent the extinction of our entire species. And in doing so, we control everything from space and large ships to units on the ground directly on the planet. This is one of the most striking features of Fragile Existence, the ultimate control. To this end, we search for lucrative resources, research new technologies, organize the lost survivors of humanity and their various skills, and continue to expand our fleet. More battles must be fought as we face new dangers in the procedurally generated galaxy. We explore new systems and planet types, whereby each planet type naturally offers different possibilities in terms of resources, but also dangers. By exploring, we venture from system to system and keep an eye out for worthwhile planets and moons. Here, however, we do not only play in a space overview, but also control our units directly on planets, building buildings there and thus have full access to every area. The transition from space to the planetary surface is continuous and without loading times. So we can fight a battle in space, at the same time construct new buildings and collect resources on a distant planet, and also command an exploration fleet in another distant system. On planets, we build outposts, deploy workers to mine resources and strengthen our fleet. We also meet other colonies of survivors, with whom we also have to deal, and unfortunately often violently. But resources and technological achievements from foreign colonies also offer our scientists the opportunity to make further advances through technological breakthroughs, which can bring us further forwards. So in Fragile Existence, we have direct and comprehensive control from the ground and the smallest unit to space and the largest fleet. However, operating on such a scale brings some challenges, which is what makes Fragile Existence so interesting. For example, if we want to build something on the surface of a planet, we first have to transport the materials needed for it to the planet as well. If we find something on a planet that needs to be processed or explored on a ship, we also have to get it there first. So we not only have to transport raw materials and refined materials, but also finished products for further processing. This includes extensive resource types such as iron, carbon, quartz, magnesium, aluminium, titanium, uranium, rare elements and much more. The production and resource system is enormously extensive, and it is so to be hoped that we do not ultimately lose ourselves in a mountain of micromanagement. Because the complicated web of raw materials, processed materials and end products should not be underestimated. For our ships and troops to be able to fire, they also need a corresponding ammunition, just as our population and crews needs food and medical supplies. If we are attacked, we have to prioritize which resources we want to secure first, or whether we evacuate a valuable population as quickly as possible. But we also have to consider the space that resources take up, as we do not have unlimited space. We need pilots who can fly ships, a crew to carry out appropriate tasks, and so on. Scientists are needed to drive research and development, and medics are the only one who can heal the wounded. Spaceships are one of the core areas in Fragile Existence, where we can design and manage our own ships and improve them with new technologies, modules and personnel. But we also have to manage and optimize buildings on planets. Fragile Existence relies on a module system, which allows us to exchange modules as needed and to equip and specialize buildings or ships differently depending on their purpose. In addition, there are, for example, different ship classes, such as support ships, for the use of ground vehicle support units and transport on planets. Carriers, on the other hand, are able to secure areas with their squadrons and form a battle group together with cruisers. Cruisers can inflict a lot of damage and are more heavily armored. Heavy transporters provide the backbone of our economy by transporting resources from one place to another. And we can also specialize and adapt these different classes ourselves through various modules. But we also find the variety of ground units such as workers, scouts, light vehicles, mechs and so on in the game. Fragile Existence can be paused at any time to maintain an overview and not miss anything in the heat of the moment. The look of the spaceships reminds us of the popular sci-fi series The Expanse, which corresponds to the current trend in this direction, and is definitely not a disadvantage. The enormous size of the various areas alone, from the extensive exploration of space to the management of ships, crew and transport routes, is a great challenge in itself. However, Fragile Existence goes a big step further here, in that we also have to play and manage a complete gameplay loop on planets, which should provide enormous depth. Graphically, Fragile Existence does not offer any bombastic effects or extreme details, but this is also due to the enormous and continuous game world. So we find everything from huge asteroids to colonizable planets in one huge game world, which is separated from each other without loading times. Moreover, the version shown is still an early alpha phase, whereby graphical improvements and adjustments to the various control and user interface elements can still change significantly. But we also find details such as a day and night circle depending on the rotation of the planets, complete darkness on the sides of celestial bodies facing away from the sun, as well as rudimentary physics simulations. The battles, however, are exciting, as they are not limited to the different levels, but are also possible in combination. We can take a battle from orbit with ships to a planet and support our ground troops with units from orbit, which should bring a clear tactical depth and a variety of strategic possibilities. But let's take a closer look at such a battle, which takes place not only on the ground, but on closer inspection, also directly visible above it in orbit. Here, we are already very curious to see what different specialization options will be available to us. For example, to equip ships for use against ground targets, or to focus entirely on strength in space. However, the first impression already looks very promising and above all brilliant. But it is important to emphasize once again that we were not able to play the scenes ourselves, but that they are game scenes from the developers. The extent to which scripted events are present here cannot be assessed, but the scenery looks very dynamic and, above all, not perfectly styled and polished to a high gloss. In the area of space battles, various weapon systems such as railguns, rockets or ballistic variants were used, as well as more specialized ways of defeating an enemy. And with these battle impressions, we leave you alone for a moment and return directly to a conclusion. Via the timestamps, you can jump directly to the parts that are of interest to you. Fragile Existence promises to be a very extensive and, above all, in-depth sci-fi strategy game. Hopefully, we won't get lost in a mountain of micromanagement, but can focus on the important areas to save our civilization from extinction. We will, of course, continue to observe the development and keep you up to date. And if you have any questions, suggestions or hints regarding to Fragile Existence or the video, please let us know in the Discord, in the comments or in the almost daily Twitch live streams. We also speak English here. I say goodbye until the next time and see you soon.
This tension is rising so thick we just might choke. But if we keep moving, it ain't us that's gonna wind up broke. Some people might think we're crazy, but crazy is all we've known. It's probably that they just ain't ready. That's why they're going up in smoke. We're giving this all